Welcome back, college baseball fans, to another episode of our college baseball show, brought to you live here by Just Baseball Media and 64 Analytics. Man, it has been a wild one. I'm your host, Mark Garland, and we're here for another Super Regional preview. We're going to do this for the Austin Super Regional and the Chapel Hill. Joining me for the Austin one, I've got Zach Symm. How we doing, buddy?
Doing great. Ready for another great weekend of baseball at the Dish.
Dude, there's just been so much good baseball. Like the last 2 weeks, you can throw in the regions for me. Like if regionals was great, right? But go back all the way to the conference tournaments. Like those were good too. There was good games being played there too. So it's been a great 3 weeks, a great season for us. Very, very excited to get more into this. But we're going to talk deeply here about the Austin Super Regional. Like this one here, I looked at it, Zach, and I just kept looking. I'm like, the pitching in this one's elite. I know that the next one we're talking about in that Chapel Hill Regional, also elite pitching. The pitching is really good here, Zach.
Yeah, you look at the numbers over the past, since the series lost to UCLA, right? They've played Oregon State, they've played USC, they've played UCLA again, like the Nebraska game. Oregon is pitching just lights out. 20 something strikeouts, 31 walks that over those 89 innings. Like it's insane right now what Waz has going on.
Yeah, and they're not allowing runs because they're not allowing base runners. No free base runners is a massive thing. But Texas is doing the same thing, where you look at what they're doing. They're not allowing base runners and they're not allowing runs. And that's what the best teams at this point of the year are doing. You're seeing that even USC, who won last weekend, same thing. UNC, these teams that have advanced, no free passes, make guys earn it. And this is going to be one where you're going to have to earn it. But talk a little bit about this Friday night pitching matchup. I mean, I know Oregon has, or Saturday night. I know Oregon hasn't announced. I'm assuming Volantis is going for Texas on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll certainly be Volantis. Everyone wondered what that would look like, right? Because last year he was stopper of the year. He was, SEC freshman of the year, depending on which publication you were looking at. But it's a different role being a starter. And he had one kind of midseason where it's like, okay, he's human, and then it's just been dominant. And so, yeah, Oregon's going to have to get used to, hey, let's go put the pitching machine at 7 feet 2 inches up top and have it coming straight downhill at our knees. And oh, by the way, Carson Tinney is one of the best at stealing strikes, and there's no ABS, so you can't fool him anymore. So yeah, it's going to be fun to watch the power hitting trio from Oregon go up against Volantis and honestly the rest of the lineup, because the whole lineup can hit. So
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Oregon goes Cal Scolari here. One, Cal's been terrific for Oregon. Yeah. And I know that he was out for a little bit with the injury, but since he's come back, he's been electric. I mean, he's 2.70 ERA. He's 5-0 on the season. He's thrown 53 innings. He doesn't allow free base runners. He just doesn't allow walks very often. Like 29 is not, it's more than some of the guys that are in this weekend rotation, but he just doesn't allow free base runners. I mean, less than one an inning. That whip is great. And the batting average against is electric, like 222. Like these pitchers in both sides are very good. I could see Oregon going Cal and just thinking, hey, if we can somehow squeak out game one, we're in a really good spot with our next two starters in Gastola and Sanford, right? Like Sanford's going to be climbing the 2027 draft board, I got to believe.
Yeah, that 14 strikeout appearance, I think it speaks to what his kind of talent level is. That was a career high. And I keep going back and forth. Like if I'm Waz's position, do I go Scolari, who he did have a little bit of command issue this past weekend?
He walked more than he has in a long time.
Still got it done, right? Still got it done. Or do I go Sanford and say, hey, he's the hot hand. Like, let's go crazy here. But I do agree. Like if you go Scolari, if you eke out a win there against Volantis, now you have to feel good about the Sanford-Luke Harrison matchup. So yeah, it's always interesting to see how those pairings look and how they feel. I think the one disadvantage for Oregon is they are both righties, and Texas sees righties much better from a splits perspective than they do lefties. So something to look for.
And if they win game one, they could even go Miles in there and throw the lefty in between and say that they're going to go righty, lefty, righty and see what happens. I mean, just to throw it out there. I think that they have an idea that they're going to go Cal and then they're going to go Sanford and then they're going to go Gastola. Like that's what my feeling is what's going to happen this weekend, because that's kind of the route they went last weekend and it really worked out for them.
Yeah.
But I think that there's no hotter pitcher in the country right now than Will Sanford. He has been electric. The fastball's got elite velocity that we haven't seen all season. It's at the
Yeah.
highest peak it is. The breaking balls, locating, like he was making Beaver hitters look silly, like or Washington State hitters look silly. They had no chance to go. He was no hitting them for 6 innings. Like he was
Yeah.
that good. And the stuff was just, other than hitting people, they weren't getting on base. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference. When you look at this too, Zach, these are two teams that actually have a bullpen that both have good bullpens that can come in and give you innings too. So it's not even like you have to go starters only. Like you look at it and you go, oh, Toby Twist coming out of the bullpen has been a huge long reliever for them, for the Oregon. Devin Bell coming in as a closer has been terrific. Like, and then you can turn around the ball over and go, hey, we got Tanner Bradley sitting in here who's an all-American closer who doesn't even get close games. He comes in the 7th or 8th inning and they let Devin Bell close it. That's how good this bullpen is. They have 4 or 5 guys that they can go to. But same for Texas. Texas can go, hey, Sam Cozart, freshman All-American, where are we going to go with him? Where's we going to Thomas Burns has been coming in lately. He's been looking elite as he's been coming in ball games late. Like he has shaped his season like where we thought it was going to be at the start of the season. That's who we're seeing now at the end of the season, right?
Yeah, it was kind of funny. So I wrote up my big Austin Super Regional preview today, and I posted it on Orange Bloods, and I had all these people message me like, "Wait a second, I think you have your names wrong. Bradley's up for Stopper of the Year, but Devin has 12 saves." And I was like, "Yeah, they don't use him as a saver. He's not a closer."
It's so weird, wild. But it works. Like they figured out this formula. It's like, hey, we want Bradley in these high leverage situations. So he comes in when there's a guy on, or he comes in when there's a situation like, hey, high leverage. And then they bring Bell in with bases empty, and he seems to be getting out of it. He seems to be closing these games out with a high success rate. What their system is working, and they're getting a lot from their starting pitching, but they know that they don't have to go 6-7 innings like a lot of these weekend starters do and these other super regionals. Both these teams, if they get run into trouble, they're going to go to their bullpen right away.
For sure, yeah. I mean, you got on the Texas side, they didn't have the cleanest inning this past weekend, but Hayden LeFew, again, ultimate changeup that he can throw with the breaking ball, and then he still runs the fastball up. And then Brett Crossland, and they've had some other kind of arms that haven't pitched a ton, but they've come in spots, and they're like, okay, yeah, you're showing something at the end of the season. And sometimes it's that unique look where teams don't have a lot of tape on them. They can come in and maybe change the arm angle or the eye line, whatever it is. And it's successful. The other thing to look out for is, look, on if Texas were to win game 1 and they have the lead in game 2, I could absolutely see them going from Harrison to Ruger and saying, go call it, go call game right now. Like, here's the handoff, go have fun. So yeah, they've got a lot of different options. Both teams obviously do, but a lot of different options on either side to kind of close out the game if they're in the lead.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like even as much as there's been issues with Grubbs this year where he struggled, we know that the arm talent's there. So if they use him, like it's still not a bad arm to put in there, even though he hasn't had as much success as we would like to see. Whereas
Grubbs,
the same thing with Burns
out for the season.
My bad. I forgot about that. I had him in my list and I was like, question mark, why did I not talk about him? That's why, because he's out for the season. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many arms that they have to go to. Sam Cozart, I don't think is getting enough love nationally, which is kind of silly because the kid is unbelievable when he comes in the game for a true freshman, which we've seen back-to-back years now for Texas.
Yeah, the crazy thing about it, so he's 6 wins, and so he's 6-0. I can't remember how many saves he has, 6 or 7. Unlike last year where Texas had Volantis, like every single game was a close one, so he just every opportunity. Texas hasn't had the same thing. Like they've been in a lot of games where there's not even a close opportunity. And it's like, okay, we're still ahead by 6, but hey, Kozar, go close this thing out just because we know we don't want to get anything close. So I don't feel like he's gotten the love that he probably should, but a whip of .72. Yeah. So 8 saves over 47 innings, 12 strikeouts or 12 walks and 67 strikeouts it's sick. Yeah.
The walk to strikeout ratio for both these teams is very elite. And that's one of the reasons why both these teams are in the spot. Like we saw it. Oregon gave up 3 runs in the regional. Texas shut down like the 2 teams that shut down everybody pretty handily. You could throw in UNC if you want to in that group also, but those were the 3 pitching staffs you looked at and go, the other teams had no chance. They were just never going to be able to score enough runs. Speaking of scoring runs, let's dive into these offenses first, and then let's talk about these freshmen. So I don't want to talk about Pack Jr. yet because I know he's one of the freshmen we want to talk about here, just like we don't want to talk about Angel Laya or Braden Jaska or Junior Lakia at the other side. Let's talk about some of these other guys. Aiden Robbins and Carson Tinney are hitters that Oregon hasn't seen outside Rock Chalowski. Like, and I still think that Aiden Robbins and Carson City may be more dangerous than Rock, which kind of maybe people would say is silly, but they kind of feel more dangerous at this point in the season than where they saw Rock at the end of the season. He was kind of struggling there at that time for UCLA.
Yeah, it felt like that UCLA offense really relied upon Rock towards the end of the season. Maybe he got worn down. As bad as it sounds, it's almost a good thing that Texas went 0-1 in the SEC tournament, because these guys have had a chance to sit with Tulo in the cages and just refine. They've had a chance to go in the weight room and just get their bodies right, the training room, get their bodies right. And that those three looked really, really good. And that's the top three of the lineup, which is Robbins, Tinney, Pack, is pretty scary for any team. So
yeah, I mean, it's an elite top three. And let's talk about Oregon, where they have their top four. Is these guys like, Ryan Cooney, not your typical leadoff hitter, but the dude gets on base a lot. He hits 335. Yeah. He has 8 home runs. He has 21 doubles, which I think is one of the big shocks of this lineup, is that he hits gaps and he gets on base and he does all the right things. He'll lay down a bunt if he has to. Also, he's not the speediest guy, but he'll give you those opportunities. I mean, he does have 13 stolen bases, which, from a guy who plays second base all the time and is not necessarily known for his speed, he takes advantage on the base paths. He does a good job. But then you go, Drew Smith, senior in that lineup, who knows what it takes to win. He's been a part of these regional and super regional Duck teams. He understands what it's going to take to get over that line, and they have good at bats. And he'll lay down bunts. We saw 2 drag bunts from him this season in the regionals, where he just laid it down. He's like, I can just get on. Like, there's a third baseman's back. I'm going to take advantage of that. He's a guy with 15 home runs. Like, I like where the Ducks are offensively. I just wonder if it's going to be too much on these freshmen that are in the top, like 3 freshmen in the top 6 hitters for this lineup. Is it going to be too big of a moment going to Austin? Let's talk about that lineup and see what you think, man.
Yeah, the biggest thing to me about the Oregon lineup is there's a lot of thump, obviously. I mean,
104 home runs.
104, yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, I look at their walk ratio to strikeout ratio and I go, ooh, you're facing Volantis and you're facing a crafty lefty in Harrison. That's not always the best news, especially at a place like, and I looked at the dimensions and I did some research, and the dish plays very similar to PK in terms of size, but man, you don't want to be a strikeout king if you're facing Volantis.
510 strikeouts on the season in 59 games. Like it was up there with the Arkansas of the world, where 10 strikeouts a game was in the room.
Yeah. So, that's certainly not ideal. But you talk about Cooney and Smith and some of those guys, like, they do truly have a table to thump lineup. I mean, that is what Waz and Jack have built there in terms of the talent. And I really do like their opportunities. I think they're going to get some opportunities to hit because the air is going to be warm. Although this weekend is supposed to be rainy. So, Texas weather, take it or leave it. You never know what you're going to get. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think in the 6th to 8th inning, Oregon has to be either really good in the first or exceptional in that 6th to 8th inning, because if you get past the 8th inning, then you get into Cozart land and now you're in trouble. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the lineup adjusts and what they can do, either, like I said, early on or in those kind of late middle innings.
The 2 spots the Ducks have scored the most this year is in the first inning and then in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings. Like, they've been really good in those 2 parts of the ballpark, which is what you're talking about. Like, that's where they have to be elite.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to be able to jump right on Volantis. That's a really tough ask for them to say, hey, go out there and go get this guy. But the Ducks hit lefties pretty well. So it's not like they're afraid of hitting lefties, which is a big thing. Let's talk about the freshman.
The pitching report on Volantis is to come out swinging. But if you have swing and miss,
if you're swinging,
you find yourself in the 5th inning and go, oh, damn, we got 11 strikeouts already. What is this going on? Like, so yeah, it's kind of boom or bust. It feels like early on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the strikeouts, like, you look at it, and it's like, okay, it's some of these younger guys that have gone out there and struck out a lot. Drew Smith struck out a lot. It's some of these thumpers that have gone in there and struck out. And a lot of the guys that you expect that to happen, the young guys have really had that ability to go up there and strike out quite a bit. But I do like that they do get a lot of home runs. I mean, 104 home runs is nothing to joke about.
It's loud.
As far as it speaks, and it's going to be a good one, especially when you're holding opponents to 6-1. Like, that's a huge ratio difference when you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, it's a small ballpark. Well, if you're only giving up 61 still, it's not just the ballpark. Like, you can say all you want about the ballpark, but if you're only giving up 61, you're hitting 104, you're doing something right. Let's talk about the freshmen here. Braden Jackson, they've tried to figure out a way to get him in the lineup. Been tremendous. They put him in the 4 hole and said, "Hey, go do this thing, young man." He's played left field. He's played first base. People don't know that he catches also because Berkeley Mabius has been so good now the last few weeks that he hasn't even had to catch it all. They've kind of moved him to first base permanently, it feels like, and they're going to let him roll him there. He's been really good at first base defensively, which is something that's kind of odd for a guy who's never really played first base at that level, and he's been really good. Angel Laya has been from start to finish a tremendous outfielder for this teammate. Like 57 games started for this team, which is, he only didn't start in 2 games. He has the 14 home runs. He has a 307 average. Like, this guy has been really good in the 2-hole. So they go like upperclassmen, freshmen, upperclassmen, freshmen, upperclassmen. So they kind of lay these guys in there to give them the success rates. Yeah. Talk just a little about those freshmen. And then even Junior Lauke, who's come on late and has been freshman all Big Ten. And he got named to the 3rd big team with only playing in those games. He only started 29 games and had 14 home runs.
Yeah. I was looking at his numbers, and over the last 29 or 30 games that he's played in the season, he's like 3rd in the nation in OPS and everything else. Like he's on an absolute heater right now.
Slugging 704.
Yeah. And don't tell Oregon fans this, but don't let Sarkisian get a hold of this guy, because he might try to drag him across the I-35 and put him on the football team. I mean, he's huge. He looks like a little linebacker out there.
I'm like, he could literally start a linebacker for the Ducks tomorrow and they'd be happy. I mean, I'm sure Dan Lanning was at the game. He's like, that guy, why is this guy not playing football?
Yeah.
Like, this is a kid that came in and was like, big kids. I mean, they got a couple of them on this roster, but yeah, the freshmen there. I mean, what Braden Jackson and Angel Laya have meant for this program and kind of the direction they're going to continue to go is enormous, right?
Yeah, the fact that Jack Martyr was able to get Jackson on campus is incredible. I mean,
insane.
I keep telling, and I wrote this in my article. I said, you have 2 coaches that are very similar in the way they approach the game, the details. I heard I think it was Miles talking about, and some of the hitters talking about, the thing we've talked about is the hydration, the humidity that we faced back in 2024 in College Station all week long. And last week, what was Sloss Single talking about? Hey, it's Texas, it's June, it's hot. You got to be taking care of your body. Got to be getting sleep. You got to get hydration. It feels like we're talking like a Gatorade commercial out here, because the 2 coaches are talking about these like very minute things, but it shows that they're looking across the spectrum. And then I said, on the other end of the spectrum is you have 2 elite assistant coaches in Martyr and Kane. And, it's a lot of fun to see the lineups that they've built out. But yeah, Jackson, the other thing was, you mentioned him playing catcher, and I was like, I kind of wish he would play catcher this weekend for a little bit, and you'd have like one of those really short refs or umpires, because you'd have Kenny out there at 6'4", you'd have Jax at 6'6", and he'd be like, I don't know where the ball is anymore.
You throw an Angel Campos behind the dish, he ain't seeing anything. Not that he would anyway, but he really wouldn't see anything.
So yeah, no, this lineup is really fun. And they've talked about them playing up to the noise. Like Will Sanford, talked about the record crowds, and they like playing that. You're probably going to see some record crowds at UT. They set it a 3rd best record all time against Tarleton State last Saturday. So I imagine for a Super, they're going to be up, especially on Saturday night. So it'll be fun to see the noise and the atmosphere.
The fact that it starts on Saturday, I think, is going to make that opening day even more crazy, because that's going to just bring out all the fans, and everybody's going to get there. Even people that are traveling from Oregon to go out there and watch the game are going to be able to get there for a Saturday game. For sure. The Friday sometimes is hard, especially if it's like an early afternoon game, but it's a Saturday night game. Like, it's going to be outrageous. Let's talk about Anthony Pack Jr., who, to me, I think if he's not up for Freshman of the Year in the country, the committee's done a terrible job of watching baseball, because I've heard that his name was not getting thrown in certain awards on certain voting groups. And I was like, you're an idiot, and you didn't watch any baseball then, because this guy has been electric. Even the second half, even if you just watch his last 30 games, you'd vote him in immediately. But people are not talking about this kid. 358 for this lineup. He's done everything they've asked. 11 home runs now, 52 RBIs. He gets on base, 16 doubles. Like, what else do you want from this young man?
Yeah, I keep telling everyone, I've run out of superlatives for this kid. I mean, it's just, you know, and to your point, he hasn't really gotten the love. Like, leading up to the final 2 weeks of the season, they were talking, well, it's Nico Partita. It's his award to win for SEC Freshman of the Year. Or it's Jacob Parker, who is on a heater.
Jacob Parker.
I'm like, guys, this kid has the best average, not a freshman of everyone. He's got the best average. He's got one of the highest OPSs of all freshmen. I'm like, I don't think y'all understand like how good this kid has been. And he's got 20 steals on the season. Well, what does he do in his first regional game? 3 for 3, home run, home run, home run. And then he has to leave the game for cramps because, hydration. His
Because he's a
replacement hits a grand
freshman.
slam. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is getting absurd. But yeah, he's an uber special talent. And the cool thing about it is the mentality and the humility is next level. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't get phased. He loves to be in that spot, but he realizes, hey, I'm here to get better every day. And this is a kid that earlier in the season, he made an error in left field that night, immediately following the ball game. For like 2 hours, he had the machine hitting him balls up in the air just to get used to the lights, get used to the spin and everything else. So yeah, he's been a lot of fun to watch and get to know over the season for sure.
From all accounts, yours and everybody else I've ever talked to, I mean, I haven't got to see him in person other than just watching games. The voice is, hey, this is a great young man. He's doing great things. He's great in the community. He's great for the school. He's a great
Yeah.
ambassador. And he's just handling himself. I mean, it's hard enough to be at Texas and have all the pressure on you and then come in as a freshman when, we didn't know what we were going to get from the kid. We thought, we were like, hey, if all he is good at defense and gives him a 250 average, and we're like, that we would take that if you're a freshman coming in here and trying to learn this. He ran with it. He just came in and was like, hey, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to work hard. Not one of those kids that just sits back. So I'm really happy for him and his success. Let's break it down here. What's the biggest difference between these two teams, and what is it that's going to cause one of these two teams to be above the other one this weekend?
For me, it goes back to walks and strikeouts. Texas is one of the best at drawing walks offensively. That, grinded out approach from Slosnagel and Tulo. They hit for power, but they don't look for power, if that makes sense. Like, they're looking to hit line drives, and if they run into a ball, then great. If Oregon's command is shaky at all, I think that gets them in trouble real fast, because this has a lineup that likes to just put the foot to the gas pedal. And if they're able to get guys on base, it snowballs on you quickly. And then opposite of that is if Oregon can jump on Volantis early or jump on Harrison early, I think that spells a lot of trouble for Texas, just because they do have the arms, right? Like, you get up early and then you can try to mix and match and play matchup baseball to keep that Texas offense off the board.
Yeah, I think that when I look at it overall, and I kept looking at things, I'm like, okay, what's a number that's going to stick out to me? 50 points better on OPS for Texas, and it's the walks. It's like that on base percentage is just better. Slugging, they're almost equal. They're very close. They both hit the ball very well. Texas more doubles, Oregon more home runs. Like, they're both doing very good things on those. But I think that it comes down to who can take the better at bats, who can take those more professional at bats. And I lean a little bit towards Aiden Robbins and Carson Tinney, who have done that this year, had really good at bats. And it's going to be really interesting. I mean, it's going to come down to a lot of little things. I mean, it is literally the minor details in this one. Who do you think wins game one? And do you think that it is going to be Cal Scolari going for the Ducks?
I think Texas takes game one, and it's just the faith I have in Volantis. I think he brings such a unique perspective. You talk to any coach that faces him, and before the game, it's always like, oh, yeah, we know he's really good. We look at the numbers. And then after, it's like, shit, yeah, this guy the ball's coming from the heaven and landing at our feet. So Texas is what, 30? Gosh, what are they now? 31-4 at home on the season? Like,
they're so good at home, and
they're
in front
really
of that crowd.
Good at home. And people make fun of the dish. Just 30-4 at home. It's a big wide open park, so it maybe doesn't play as noisy and it's not as raucous as others, but I really think Texas is able to take game one, and then I think it becomes a just rock'em sock'em battle of who can hold on. And if I'm Coach Waz, I'm throwing Sanford out there first. You got to pitch with an ace. If he's your ace, you got to pitch him with. So
I can go either way. And I know that you and I have gone back and forth about this. I've gone back and forth with this. I've just been wondering, hey, what's the direction here? Do you go with Cal because he started you off on regionals, got out there and got you a win? Or do you go to your best arm right now, which has been Will Sanford? And I don't think, you could go Miles even second and keep Cal. I think you honestly go, Cal last, and then you go with those other guys and just see, because Miles Gaston has been really, really good too. Like, he's been elite lately. He's kind of figured himself out. They've put him in this position to be successful, and now he's done there. Matt Flores done a terrific job getting this guy ready, and now you see the talent that was there, and it's developed throughout the season. I think that's what you see from both teams is the talent has developed throughout the season for both these squads. Awesome stuff, Zach. Tell me anything you want to hear for the last bit here as we cut you loose here to stop talking about the Austin regional or Super regional.
Yeah, no, I'm just excited. I hope the fans turn out. I know the games are sold out. They're really pumping up hey, this is a prime time ESPN, and so looking forward to getting out to see Oregon tomorrow actually for their practice and media, and then game on. It's going to be pins and needles watching all these great games tomorrow and Saturday morning until we get to Saturday night. So
tell the boys hi for me from the Oregon Ducks there. I told them that you were coming down to see it since I wouldn't be there. I was like, oh, Zach's got my plot. He's got you. So go enjoy, my friend, and I can't wait to watch more college baseball with you.
Appreciate you.
That was Zach Symm coming on talking about the games here with the Austin Regional. Now bringing in good friend here, Tyler Jennings from our draft side, the college baseball show host. How we doing, my friend? We're going to talk about the Chapel Hill Regional or Super Regional. I keep saying regional. It's Super Regional time, man.
I mean, hey, they did host a regional too, so like you're not too far off. But yeah, I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Fantastic, man. Just been a week of talking ball, which it doesn't get better, honestly. Getting to go out there and see the fans and talk to people and be an enjoyment of this terrific game. And we got some unbelievable supers. We just finished talking about the Austin. But now I think the pitching matchups in this one, though, this might be better, Tyler. This might be a better matchup. So at least in the starting pitching, and I think that both those Texas and Oregon have elite starting pitching, but it's not at the level that it is. I mean, this is the next echelon of starting pitching here we're going to see this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And like I was talking to Monty in our group chat earlier today about this, and when you look at what USC brings to the table, I think this is quite honestly the best pitching that UNC will face all season up to date. And I say that because they didn't get to see the Florida State arms. They did not play them this year. They did not play Wake Forest either. So you're missing. You're obviously missing Lavonis. You're missing Mendez. You're missing Beard. So you don't have to face those arms. UNC's, I would say, the best arm they faced this year has been Jack Riddell. And if I remember correctly, they won that start against him it was sometime in March, I do believe, up at Notre Dame. So, this is definitely a very, very good test for UNC in their offense, because realistically they blew through Chapel Hill's regional last week. It wasn't really close. The pitching was outstanding. The hitting was timely. But I think considering Mason Edwards obviously leads the country in strikeouts, in my opinion, they have not faced an arm as unique as that this year. And it's going to be a very, very good start, I feel like, between him and Ryan Lynch. So I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow night.
Yeah, Mason Edwards, 0 losses. He's 8-0, 16 starts. They didn't necessarily give him the best offensive support all year, but the guy is really good. 1.85 ERA. And like you mentioned, 164 strikeouts to 43 walks. That is a ridiculous ratio, though, especially for a lefty that's a semi-power arm. Like, the guy is just elite. And he's going to go up against Lynch, right? Like, that's a good matchup there. It's not DeCaro like a lot of people thought was going to be that DeCaro matchup. They're going to save DeCaro for the next game, for the Sunday. Talk about Lynch, because I don't think he gets enough love for what he's been able to do and how good he was in that first start in the regional.
Yeah, and I'm writing about this, it's kind of like a takeaways from regional play and kind of like how it stacks up for the draft, because obviously Lynch is sophomore eligible. He put together probably his best start, and I would say like a month and a half. I think the last really game he went to 7 innings was against Cal in either early April or even late March. So he went 7 shutout against a very, very stingy VCU offense. Like, VCU took out Tennessee the day after. They had a lot of really timely hitting, and they did a really, really good job with pitching as well. I think Elias Holbert, he deservedly earned all regional accolades for that. But when you look at what Lynch has been able to do, he's been very inconsistent with his slider in particular. Like, he's been very fastball heavy. There's been some starts where he's been 90% fastball, and it's really good. Don't get me wrong. It's like last week he touched 99 in the first inning. He was still holding 4 to 7 throughout the rest of his outings. So, the velocity is there. He's had a tough time really commanding everything. It's a lot of arms going everywhere. But when he commands the fastball, the both halves, the way that he did last week, nobody's really touching him. And something I asked him too in the post-game presser was, how do you feel your slider has changed over the year? Because he's said to us multiple times that like he struggled to kind of get around it a little bit. But whenever we were watching him against VCU, he was cracking 3,000 RPMs a spin. I hadn't seen that, from him in a while. So, trying to ask him like, how have you been able to like adjust to that? And he said he's getting around it better, more obviously a lot of mechanical tweaks that they have to do. Cause again, long arm swing, there's a lot of limbs kind of flying down the mound from that low release slot. So he's kind of just really trying to get everything reined in. And right now I feel like it's definitely the best time to do so. He did very well in Supers a year ago against Arizona, and I wouldn't be shocked if he does so again. He's been arguably their best arm coming into last couple of weeks, especially last week. So I'm excited to see what Lynch can do tomorrow. It's kind of like a curtain call to what he did against VCU a week ago.
It feels like the guy comes up clutch. I mean, we saw it last year where at the end of the year he was pitching good again. Like there was times where you just saw, man, this is an elite arm. And we saw it this weekend. It's like, wow, if this is what we're going to see this next weekend in the Supers, watch out against Mason Edwards. What a tremendous matchup. And then we go to the next day and we get Jason DeCaro, who may win pitcher of the year. I mean, it's still up there for that ability. Probably going to win like more awards as we go through this thing. Versus Grant Govil, who people are like, oh, he fell off a little bit. Dude's 10-2 with a 2.96 ERA. Like, what do you want from him? I mean, the strikeout numbers. He only walked 13 hitters all season, Tyler. 13 walks. I mean, that is elite control and kind of what you want in a second game starter if something doesn't go for you in that first game.
Yeah, that's the one thing with UNC is like Mason Edwards has some command troubles. You give him the free base for UNC, they're going to take full advantage. This is a team that, they don't do anything flashy, but they are very consistent, very dangerous when they do that. They're very tough to get out if you get them in their rhythm and they're clicking. Grant Govil is going to have to find a strike zone consistently against UNC, keep him up tempo, keep him heavy. Because really, again, like you give a free base to, for example, Gavin Gallagher, their 2-hole guy. Then you get Owen Hull and Eric Paulson after that, who are both, Owen Hull probably should have had a lot more say in the ACC Player of the Year category this year. He hit like 400 completely throughout conference, which was amazing. Yeah. But for Govil, like he's going to have to stay in his zone consistently, mix up his pitches well. He's been up to 95. It's a very weird look. He pitches from third base side, kind of cross body delivery, a high arm slot. He's 6 foot 200, but it's an interesting look for UNC hitters. That again, it's another case of he's amongst the top 5 arms they're going to see this year. This is a big thing for USC. How is that 1-2 combo of Edwards and Govil going to fare against a lineup like this? If they both have excellent starts, this series is usually going to Sunday, and it's going to come down to, the third guy in the rotation and who hasn't been using that bullpen. So I think, again, if you're USC, have Govil give you as much as possible on Saturday against DeCaro too. DeCaro's not been fantastic the past couple of weeks, admittedly. There's been times he
hasn't been as sharp.
Yeah, there were times like in Charlotte where, if that day was not rainy and gloomy like it was, if it was like the day before where it was super sunny and the ball was flying, he's giving up 6 to 8 runs easy. He only gave up 3, I do believe, and 3 1/3. But guys have been they're hitting the fastball. If they spit at the fastball, they're hitting the sliders. So there's something ongoing with DeCaro that I want to see change for him this weekend against a team that, they've been streaky, but USC did a very, very good job coming out of losers bracket in College Station. And, if I remember correctly, Isaac Cadena was 10 hits for 19. There were 3 guys who had 2 home runs apiece in College Station. So they're getting it right at the right time. So this is going to be a just fantastic pitching matchup on both ends. And I really want to see what happens with both offenses, because it might be a lot more tighter than we really put it out to be.
Yeah, here's the thing. You nailed it. I mean, listen, USC forced Texas A&M pitchers to be in the zone. They took the walks, and then when they got them in the zone in those 2-0, 3-0 counts, they hit the ball a long ways, which is something that they hadn't done a lot during the season, which is something they're going to have to do against this really good pitching staff. Let's talk about the offenses, because, these are 2 offenses that we've seen throughout the year where it's been really cold and then really hot. And when they're hot, they're very successful because we know the pitching is elite every single day for these guys. Can UNC's offense continue the role that it's been on the last few weeks, where they got all the way to the ACC championship game? They didn't beat Georgia Tech, but they got all the way to the championship game, and they hit pretty well throughout the tournament. Can they continue that streak here as we look into this super regional?
I believe they can. This is like I mentioned before. You give them a mistake, they're going to take it all the way. Essentially, um, they take their walks. They're very disciplined. This is a team that realistically, you put them on base, they're going to give you hell, and I think that's the best way to put it. Jake Schaffner is arguably one of the best leadoff guys in the country. I don't think he gets enough love for what he's been able to do there. I understand power is never going to be his game, but that you don't need that as a leadoff guy. He's got insane bat the ball skills. He's a really, really good runner. There's just a lot that I can say about Schaffner that really goes under the radar, and people just need to really start giving him credit for what he is. He's been fantastic. He's been a great addition coming out of North Dakota State. So, he deserves a spotlight. But then after that, Gavin Gallagher, we talk about him in regionals every single year.
Every year.
He wasn't as loud last week. He still did very well for himself and got all regional honors. But, compared to what he's been in the past, it's obviously not as loud. But it's still regionals. It's postseason Gavin Gallagher. You can't ignore that. Owen Hull, again, talked about before, 400 hitter in conference play. Eric Paulson won the most outstanding player award last week. And he's playing with a heavy heart too. He was a very close bond with his father. And if anybody goes to read the piece from Inside Carolina, Grace Nugent, she did a great job putting that piece together about the connection him and his father had. Because Forbes talked about it a lot, where Paulson's dad felt like going to UNC was the perfect fit for him. And obviously looking at it now, his dad's no longer here. So it's a great story in general, but Paulson's definitely playing with a chip on his shoulder. Didn't have the greatest year, but he went like 7 for 13 in regional play. And in the bottom of the order too, Rom Kellis has been hot the last couple of weeks. Carter French has been pretty viable as a defender and as a kind of 9-hole hitter to kind of keep this conga line going. So they're just really dangerous. Again, we talked about how they can be hot and cold, but the last couple of weeks has just been really, really good from this UNC offense. And every single time I've seen them is kind of just sitting there just going like, hey, you put them on base, it's wraps, essentially. Like, they got Ethan Norby. They tagged him for a couple runs actually out of the bullpen on Sunday, which was kind of weird because, again, ECU didn't have the pitching, but Norby's been very, very clutch this postseason, and the scratch 2 off of him in the first inning of him being out there was pretty impressive.
I love this lineup. I mean, Megan Winslow has been really solid for them. The one guy I want to see maybe more consistency from is probably their biggest thump guy in Cooper Nicholson, right? Like, we've know the abilities there. We've seen it in these streaks where he can go out there and have these big games, but then there's other games where it kind of feels like he's overmatched. I worry that maybe this weekend with this starting pitching that he's going to see, it might overmatch him a little bit. But here's the thing. One pitch could change for him. He could launch a ball 450 feet on one swing, and all of a sudden that changes. That could be a 3-run home run for this UNC team. When you look at it on the other side, Tyler, I'm trying to find out, like, how has this team of USC finally just been like, we're going to hit? Everybody all season's like, hey, they can't hit. They're good. We like them. They can't hit. They didn't get a regional, being the highest RPI to not get a regional since 2021. They go out there and they've been just doing the little things. Isaac Kadea, Kevin Taguchi, like, they have some dudes. Adrian Lopez, these guys have just figured out how to hit the ball lately. Augie Lopez, like, they're hitting home runs now. This is a team that's been on fire. They're up to 87 home runs as of late. Almost a 2-to-1 ratio on home runs versus giving up home runs. Their offense has been streaky, maybe more streaky than UNC's has this year.
Yeah, and I was about to say, like, you mentioned Isaac Kandania, and we talked about it before. He I believe hit 526 in College Station, which is pretty ridiculous. I understand they played 5 games, but like, hey, you play 5 games, you take advantage of that whole thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, like, going past that, like, Walter Urban's turned into a regular in the outfield the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I believe he's
been
hitting
really
like
good.
406. 3 homers, 6 doubles. It's been impressive what he's been able to do down the stretch here. And then, like you had mentioned, like the Lopez duo, Adrian and Augie, have been impressive. Andrew Lamb has turned into one of the better power bats in that lineup.
Well, yeah, he's been coming on great, man.
Yeah, so him, Takuchi, like, this is one of the cases where, like, they're getting hot at the right time, and that's fantastic for them, because obviously going into a matchup like this, facing the pitching that we've talked about, it's going to be key for them to kind of really put everything together and put on a complete show. If they're able to scratch out 1 or 2 runs early against Lynch tomorrow, or even against Sakaro on Saturday, and they have an advantage, that's perfect for them, because The one thing I want to see them do is be able to attack early and be able to hold that throughout the outings. Because otherwise they're going to fall behind quick and it's going to get really messy really early for them. So that's the biggest thing for me is I want to see USC kind of stay, you put the foot on the pedal and you hold it down there. I think that's what they're going to have to do to kind of get past the starting pitching. And if you get past Caden Glauber and Walker McDuffie and you get into some of like the deeper bullpen arms for UNC, I don't want to say they're kind of like a question mark, but it's definitely 50-50 on what you're going to get. So it's the farther down the depth chart you get for UNC's bullpen, the more likely I feel like that USC is going to take advantage of some of the lack of experience or the lack of usage. So, again, just excited to see what they can do here. Just getting hot at the right time. I think that's going to be the recipe for success for them if they're going to scratch this out and go to Omaha again.
Yeah, it's really, let's talk about these bullpens because I look at this more and more. Caden Glover, unbelievable out of the bullpen, right? He's been terrific for UNC. Walker McDuffie, 34 appearances. Like, they have leaned heavily on their top 4 pitchers. What happens outside those guys? I mean, I wanted you to be able to talk on those 2 guys specifically, but then outside of that, it's a lot of guys who have come in and haven't had like success back-to-back appearances. Like, they've had one success, like Matthew Matthias, really good one outing and then really rough the next outing. Like, it just kind of feels like it's a coin flip with the rest of those guys not in the top 4.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of like a 50-50 shot on what you're going to get in that bullpen. Yeah. Obviously, Glauber's fantastic. And mind you, this kid should have been graduating high school, either this week or a week ago. Like, he reclassed, he's enrolled early. He has been just outright one of the best freshmen in the entire country. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Then you go to Walker McDuffie. I believe they used him twice last weekend, and he's a guy that just throw in whenever to kind of like stop the bleeding, get something good out of it. I think he's a perfect complement to what Glauber has been able to do. Behind that, they'll go to Jackson Rose. Jackson Rose was fantastic to close out the game against ECU, close out the regional. I believe it was 4 scoreless with 4 strikeouts. He's evolved as a pitcher throughout this year, despite what some of the metrics behind the hood will probably tell you are not great. It's a guy that, polish is adding up quickly, and I think he's going to become one of the more reliable arms out of the pen for them. But then you go after that, like Cameron Seagraves, Cameron Pageant, Talon Holiday, Matthias, like you had mentioned. Look at going even farther down, like Olin Jackson. Some of these guys haven't pitched in a while. Boston Flannery's another guy that hasn't seen the mound in quite a bit. So if USC is able to get Lynch and DeCaro out early, even Folger Boaz, if you have to use them against them on Sunday, it's going to be really tough to keep relying on Glauber, keep relying on McDuffie, and you're going to run them into the ground a little bit. Not to say that what Forbes is doing is unethical, but like that's the situation you're going to have where you go to these guys super early to kind of preserve your leads. Kind of look at what happened last year where Arizona lost game 1 and then won the next 2 to go to Omaha. Yeah. Could happen again, but we'll see. It's an interesting little situation to have there, and I think there's going to be a lot of question marks once you get past the top 3 in their bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough for me because I always keep looking back. I'm like, this is a really good team. But then the more I look at that bullpen, I go, that actually might go towards USC. Where I was like, okay, starting pitching might lean a little bit towards USC also. So now I'm looking like bullpen. Yes, the top of the bullpen, elite for UNC, no doubt, better. You want to absolutely? I'm never going to argue the fact that I think that Glauber and McDuffie are better than what USC brings out. But I think USC bullpen might be deeper. Like, talk a little bit about the bullpen arms that are coming out for USC and why you think maybe just their depth that they have and these guys that continue to go out there. I mean, they got guys that have gone out there for so many more like appearances. These guys have gone out there a ton.
Yeah, I think the first one I want to talk about is Andrew Johnson. I think what he did to kind of save their regional run last week is downright impressive. He threw an inning into 2/3, the game before, and then he forces, I believe, a game 7. There was 124 pitches, 7 1/3, 3 runs to really propel them to that game 7 and ultimately win it all. So Johnson has been fantastic for them. I think he's been a split guy throughout the year behind like Govil and Edwards, but he's the guy to watch. Adam Troy is 6th in the nation with saves. He has 12 on the year, has been very impressive. Also a pretty darn good draft guy, going to have to put the draft guy in here somewhere. Chase Harrell, Diego Velasquez, who's a true freshman. Gavin Lorenzen is also a true freshman. He's pitched 44 2/3, has some experience as a starter, so we'll be interested to see how he kind of goes about things. But add another one, Sax Matson. That was another one I was
Sax
going to
Matson has
forget.
been really good. Yeah.
He has been a really, really good arm for them. So I do agree. I think there's a lot more depth in the USC bullpen than there is with UNC. And the thing is with UNC, obviously Glauber and McDuffie give you length. That's the biggest thing. Glauber can consistently go 5 to 6 out of the bullpen. He's been really, really impressive as their quote unquote long relief guy, but he's just really been a stopper for them in any fashion. USC just has a bunch of these guys that have performed so well throughout the year to where the farther down the list you go, you might not run into some of these question marks like you will with UNC, where, at the end of the day, like here comes, Talon Holiday, who hasn't pitched in a couple weeks. But then here comes Gavin Lorenzen, who's pitched, I would say 3 to 4 times probably in the last couple of weeks, where he's hot, he's fresh, and he knows what's going on. So it's an interesting conversation to have on that front. Obviously don't want to downplay what UNC's been able to bring to the table all year, but it's definitely interesting to kind of bring about the idea of like, you kind of blow through McDuffie and Glauber really quickly while you have this USC team who has a bunch of arms that can just go at any moment to kind of help out, Edwards and Goebel. So it's a fun conversation to have, I feel like, and it's something that I feel like will have them to come into shape this weekend, just with the fact that we're so deep into the year. There's so much ongoing. It's so important to have these guys up and ready and good to go, because once you kind of lose that edge in the bullpen, college bullpens are like college kickers. So just putting that out there.
It really is, like, you nailed it, the coin flip thing. Like, you don't know what you're going to get from those guys. And the thing for me when I look at this, I go, Andrew Johnson could come in relief, and they're not going to worry about him starting game 3. They can just go and say, okay, we're going to give the ball to Chase Hurler. We're going to give the ball to Diego Velasquez. Like, we can go to another person if we want to use Andrew early. If we want to take that chance and have him be in that game and be that second person, if Goebel or Edwards struggle, they could go to him right away and be like, hey, now we got a guy that's going to give us a little bit of length. But outside that, the length probably does go towards UNC for what Glauber brings. But I really like the way that Andrew Johnson's been pitching lately. I think that he has been just a dog for them. That 3-headed monster that they have in Edwards, Goebel, and Johnson has been really, really good for USC. What do you think overall here? First off, who do you think wins game 1, and who do you think wins this super regional? I mean, I'm excited for this one. I literally can't be more excited for this one to start up.
I'm probably leaning towards UNC just because of the experience and the fact that, like I had said before, you give them a mistake, they're going to take it 100 yards to the end zone for a touchdown. It's really impressive what they're able to do when you give them that little edge, that little advantage. They get on base, they're going to wreak havoc. And I think that, again, going into tomorrow, if Edwards can consistently stay in the strike zone, limit the walks, and be able to kind of lean upon that breaking ball heavily, because that breaking ball has been really, really impressive. His off speeds are ridiculously good. So it's going to be an interesting thing for UNC to kind of adjust against. It's like you get the fastball and it's kind of nondescript, low 90s, been up to 95, but the breaking stuff is insanely good, So I'm interested to see what does UNC do against secondaries like that. If they're able to come out ahead, I feel like they'll go to Glauber pretty quickly and kind of save themselves. So I do see UNC winning game 1 at this stage. Dogfight day 2 and game 3 is kind of just all hands on deck. So I think UNC wins this in 3. Going through regional play, it's the first time in the past, I want to say 5 years, that they haven't had to go to game 7. So they're going to be well rested and ready to go. So yeah, I think it's UNC in 3. But I think also at the same token, I would not be shocked at all if USC pulls off the upset and makes their way to Omaha for the first time in 30 years or something like that.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a tremendous matchup. I looked at this a lot, like when I was breaking out my bracket and trying to figure this thing out. And I took UNC because I took them to go to Omaha, and I think that they're a really good baseball team. I like what Scott Forbes has done. I think that edge is Glauber in game 1, right? So even if Lynch doesn't do the elite things that we know his arm can do, if that's a tight ball game, I like UNC to come out on top of that one because of Glauber in game 1. And I think, like you said, it's a dogfight for the next 2 because it's really good baseball between those 2 bullpens and who's going to be able to shut the other team down. I do like UNC, and I like UNC in 3 with you. I think that it's going to take 3 to get this thing done. I don't think that they get it done in 2. I think that Edwards and Lynch put on a show, and it might come down to the better bullpen in that first game. And I think that I like UNC just a slight edge better than anybody else that USC is going to throw with Glauber. So I'm all about that. Final thoughts as we head into Super Regional Weekend. Are you heading down to the games, or are you going to be at home this weekend?
I will be at UNC this weekend. So if anybody happens to see me, say hi. I'm free to talk ball with you. But yeah, I'll be there. Finally get to see Mason Edwards in the flesh. It's gonna be fantastic to see.
Love it.
Not only just for like being a college baseball fan, but for the draft stuff too. So I'm excited to see him and Govil. But yeah, like I said, if anybody sees me out there, I'll be seated in the media section on the concourse. So feel free to say hi. Other than that, excited to see just see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens with Omaha. I know you'll be there. Monty and Will are going to crush it with you as well. So excited to see what happens with everybody alongside here. And then obviously with me, like, welcome to summer baseball. I'll be at USA in a couple weeks. So
I was going to say, you're going to be heading to North Carolina for that USA baseball and Cary, getting ready for all that. I can't wait, man. We have such good baseball coming up for the next few weeks. Like, if you're a college baseball fan and you've been missing the whole season, guess what? You didn't miss too late. We still got a lot of great baseball coming for you. 8 ridiculous super regionals with lots of storylines. Tune in. Thanks so much for coming on, Tyler. Always love talking ball with you, my guy. And if you guys haven't followed all of his draft stuff, go check out all the draft stuff that Tyler's been putting out, getting ready as we head into the draft stuff in July. Cannot wait. Thanks for joining us tonight on the show. We'll see you guys live Saturday morning.